Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. We are going through all the books that I have read in April and May. Spoiler free, do not worry, but let's get straight into it. The first book that I read was Nightbane, and this is the second book in the Lightlark series by Alex Aster, and I will say Lightlark was not my favourite book at all really. I found it super confusing. So I was a bit apprehensive going into Nightbane just because my expectations just were not very high. I found the world building extremely complicated and really hard to understand. However, I wanted to know what the hype was about just because I've seen so many people raving about it on BookTok, Bookster, all the platforms. But I ended up giving it a 3.5 star, which was a lot higher. I think I gave Lightlark like 2.5 stars, so it was a little bit of an improvement. I definitely did grow slightly more attached to the characters, especially our character Grimm, just because I feel like we see a really different side to him in that book. However, there were just parts to it where I was still really lost. However, I did still want to stick to the series because I didn't want to give up. I was like, will I get FOMO if I DNF the whole series? So I then went on to Skyshade, which is the most recently released book. I believe I read this on my Kindle and I gave this one 3 stars. I feel like I kind of took a step back with understanding the story and it all just fell a little bit flat for me. It just wasn't for me and I was just like so sad because a lot of people rave about it, as I have said, and yeah, maybe I just remember, I feel like this was like years ago now, it was only last month, but I just remember kind of not really wanting to pick up the book. And I feel like books that I finish quickly usually end up being 5 stars just because when you get that feeling of not wanting to put it down, you just know it's going to be a good one. But yeah, I feel like that series as a whole, maybe I will stop there. I don't know if Alex Aster is bringing out any more books, but I'm glad that I did read all 3 of them just to know that I am not missing out on anything. And if you are thinking about picking up the series, maybe still do, just because reading is so subjective and even if I don't like something, then you may like it instead. So yeah, give it a shot maybe, but just be warned that it's not, I don't think it deserves the hype that it's got. I then read Next to You by Hannah Bowman Young, and this was a 4.25 star for me. I love Hannah Bowman Young's books, and this one especially, it's just so cutesy, and Hannah really does write the most perfect couples. It is like they are made for each other, and I just think that every book that I've read by her, it's literally been 4-star and above, and I feel like that really says something, and she's literally an author by author for me now. I do still need to read Out of the Woods, which is her most recent release, but I cannot wait for that, and I definitely need to pick it up very, very soon. And I really liked in this one where I feel like we saw a lot of different backgrounds and people from different cultures as well. It was just really interesting, and the aspects within the story, it just feels so realistic. I feel like that's what Hannah Bowman Young does really well, is these relationships, they have real problems and you just feel like you can really relate to the characters. Moving on to, I think, my first DNF of 2025. And I know our literature lovers are really going to hate me right now, but I DNF'd Jane Eyre. Yes, I DNF'd it, and I'm so sorry to the literature community. I could not get into it. I think I got to around 30%, but honestly, it took me 2 weeks to get to that point. I wanted to love it. I wanted to be one of those girlies that was like, yes, I read classic books. However, I just didn't understand it. I feel like unless they were speaking to each other through dialogue, I just had no idea what was going on in the story, and I just didn't enjoy myself at all. I kept being like, oh, maybe I'm getting into it, but I was like, Sophie, you are literally trying to convince yourself to continue reading this book, and I'm making it my goal to just DNF books. If you don't know what DNF means, by the way, it means did not finish. So I just stopped reading, put it back on the shelf, and maybe will I go back to it one day? I'm not sure, to be honest. Following this, I really wanted something that would just boost my reading mood, because I feel like that Jane Eyre put me into a little bit of a reading slump, and I then picked up Cursed Crowns, which is the second book in the Twin Crowns series, and I gave Twin Crowns a 5 stars. I ended up giving this one a 3.75, so a little bit of a drop, and I don't know why. Maybe it was my slump at the time that made me not enjoy it as much. There was just something about the story that I found a little bit boring, I guess. I feel like looking back, maybe I remember reading Twin Crowns in literally like a day and a half, and this one, it definitely took me a little bit longer to get through. I feel like maybe because I left too long between that first book and second book, I just kind of, I don't know, if you don't know as well, the Twin Crowns series basically follows two twin sisters and they have like witch abilities, and in this world witches, people hate them. I feel like lies have been told. They used to be in charge, however now they are basically killed off. So the humans are trying to kill the witches, and then these two twins are then trying to change people's perspective and view on things. And the first one was just so entertaining and so enjoyable. I feel like maybe I just need to pick up that third book ASAP and definitely recap the second book so I'm not confused, because I feel like that's the mistake that I make. I pick up a first book in the series, love it, then I leave like weeks, months in between, pick up the second book and not like it as much. So I definitely need to work on that, and I'm hoping the next book is better. Then I ended up tackling the entire of the Magnolia Parks universe. So this is by Jessa Hastings. It follows a group of rich teenage early 20s socialites, and there is a lot of drama, and there's relationships between the friends, and there's just so much history. So let's just delve into it book by book and we'll see how I thought about it. The first book, Magnolia Parks, 5 stars. This was a reread for me. I actually read it over a year ago now. It was a 5 stars the first time, 5 stars the second time, and I love it so much. There's something in that book that I just really relate to, and I feel like most girls will as well. So you definitely need to pick it up. It's so good, and I feel like it gets a lot of hate. It may be like a mustard, what is it, a Marmite series. You either love it or you hate it, but I'm definitely a lover. So that first book was 5 stars, and then I moved on to Daisy Hates, and I gave this one a 3.5 stars. So if you didn't know, the Magnolia Parks universe is kind of set up into 2 different storylines. So we follow Magnolia's stories, and then we have the other half which follows Daisy Hates. And I was so excited about this because these books are obviously involved in the same world, however it follows more of like a crime gang world. Daisy Hates' brother is like the leader of this crime gang. And I think the thing that I really struggled with was that the Daisy Hates books follow the same timeline as the Magnolia Parks books. So once I went into Daisy Hates, I was basically going back in time, rereading conversations and plot points that I already knew. So I feel like part of it did drag for me, and you'll see that later on in the series. I still continue to struggle with this as well. But that being said, I still love all of the books, and it's like a 5-star series as a whole, but I'm definitely more of a Magnolia girl than a Daisy. Then the third book in that series is called Long Way Home, and this was a 5 stars. And let me tell you, the ending of this book broke my heart. Obviously, I'm not going to go into plot points for any of these past the first book, just because I'm not going to spoil it for those who haven't read it, but oh my word, and it really does set up the rest of the series so well. The fourth book is then the Daisy Hates The Great Undoing, and this was a 4-star for me. So this definitely got better from that first Daisy Hates book. I feel like I really grew attached to Julian, Daisy's brother, and we really go into his mind, and we learn a lot more about him and his feelings during certain points. But once again, reading those same plot points, I just found a little bit, not jarring, but long. And I have seen online, I mentioned this actually in my 2 reading vlog, so you can go and see a bit more of my in-depth thoughts, but still spoiler free if you want to go and watch these. But yes, Daisy Hates The Great Undoing. It was better, but still not Magnolia standard. And then the book that has finished the series for now, there is another one coming I believe, was Into the Dark. This is our final book about Magnolia and BJ, and it was the perfect ending. I did give it a 4.25 star just because it didn't give me those same feelings that the first and third book did, but I still really enjoyed it, and it was so bittersweet finishing their story and seeing kind of their character growth throughout all of the books. It was just a really nice place to end on. So once I had then finished that universe and series, I was thinking, I want a romance, and I actually picked a book. So me and my friend Liv, we kind of take it in turns to pick a book that we're both going to read, and we have a little chat about it. Almost like a book club, but it's kind of not really a monthly thing. But I chose A Love Letter to Whiskey. And guys, I really enjoyed this book. I gave it a 4 stars, and this book basically follows our main female and male character. They're kind of meet in high school, and we then just follow them throughout their lives. They're always kind of coming back to each other, and honestly the analogies in this book are so beautiful. The writer basically refers to our main male character as whiskey. So as you can imagine, our female main character is like, I'm addicted just by one sip of whiskey, and it brings all the memories back. There is a lot of miscommunication, I will say, so if this is not the trope for you, maybe you won't like it, but honestly it was so good to read about. And oh, you guys need to read it, because at the end we go into like a part 2, and yeah, I need to hear your thoughts on that if you've read it, because it was really enjoyable. And I feel like it just wasn't a 5-star just because some parts did feel a little bit dragged out, and I solely think it is because of that miscommunication trope. After a while I was like, oh my word, you two, can you please get it together? Just because I wanted a happy ending sooner. Like, I wanted it like very soon, and I just feel like they would have like a happy moment and then something terrible or something would come back from their past, and it would all go to bits again, and it was quite frustrating, but once again, enjoyable read. I then read Ward D by Freida McFadden, and this is like the first thriller that I've read in like a really long time, and I got chosen this by one of my friends over on Book Talk, and honestly, instantly with this book I was absolutely hooked. It is basically set on like a psychiatric unit, and our main character is studying to be a doctor, so she's there on a placement. And I just really related because last year I did a placement on a mental health ward, which is kind of like a psychiatric hospital, and I just feel like the fears that our main character was feeling, I was thinking that at the time, but this one was really good. And also the twists and turns were really realistic. I feel like sometimes with Freida books I have found that the plot twists at the end don't really make sense to my brain. I kind of sometimes feel like authors put something in there just to trick you as a reader, just so you don't guess it. But this one I didn't guess, but at the same time it was so good, and I think this is my favourite Freida McFadden book that I have read ever, so I will continue to recommend that one. And then obviously after a kind of twisty, turny thriller, my brain was like, okay, I need something light and easy to read. So I picked up The Love Wager by Lynn Painter, and it was a 5 stars. I feel like, obviously apart from Magnolia Parks, it feels like it's been so long since I've had a 5-star. I knew going into Magnolia Parks that I would have at least one, because obviously that first book was a 5-star for me last year. But honestly, The Love Wager was chef's kiss. Our two main characters basically meet at a wedding, have a one-night stand. They then reconnect a little bit later on a dating app. They basically almost make a bet, so the first person to find love will get something from the other. And it was just so good. Lynn writes just the best banter, and I feel like that just really gripped me, and it's just so sweet at the same time. And honestly, little spice. If you don't like spice, Lynn Painter is your writer, because it's just not necessary sometimes, and she does it so well by building up emotions and angst without spice scenes, and I just really appreciate that. And then the final book that I've recently just finished this May was The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the first book in the series, and I've heard so much about it, a lot of mixed reviews, and I wasn't sure kind of what it was about going into it. I almost thought that it was meant to be like sci-fi fantasy, but it's actually more like thriller mystery. We're following our main character, and she has this like ability where she's able to read people, kind of guess their background and their story without even asking them questions. So she gets approached by the FBI to join this naturals program, where she then goes there, and there is a few other teenagers with similar talents. They all kind of do different things. We kind of follow this like crime mystery element. So the job of these teenagers is to basically solve cold crime cases. So it's all about serial killers, and or if people go missing and they haven't been found for a while, these kids come in and try and see if they can figure the story out. And it was really enjoyable. It just didn't blow me away. Like, I feel like I didn't really have too many opinions on it, but I have started the second book in the series now, so you have to wait until my next wrap up to hear my thoughts on that one. I don't know if I mentioned, but I did rate this one a 3 star, so very middle of the road, not bad, not blowing me away. But that is all the books that I have read in April and May, a very quick, speedy reading recap. And I hope you guys have enjoyed. Do not forget to give this video a like, and if you are still here, please leave this emoji just so I can thank you personally. And if you are seeing my face for the first time, I post weekly videos here on YouTube that are either vlog content or bookish videos. So don't forget to subscribe, and I shall see you guys in the next one.